You guys know I love podcasting and listening to podcasts, and I'm guessing if you're listening to this that you love podcasts too. Have you ever considered podcasting yourself? It is a great way to reach your audience, grow your know, like and trust factor, and not need to show your face unless you want to. If it is something you've thought about but you don't know where to start, then head over to becomeapodcaster.uk/BAP quiz, BAP quiz, to access a 2-minute quiz that will help you work out what type of podcast might suit you. That's becomeapodcaster.uk/BAP quiz. Welcome back to the Wedding Procast UK. My name is Donna. I'm your host, and today we are doing the final episode in our low season priorities series. And finally, I have that download ready for you guys to go and grab. So let's jump in. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. I am so super glad to have you here today, and I wanted to start this episode with a little bit of a thank you to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. I was debating on putting this podcast out this week, as we obviously lost Her Majesty on Thursday last week after I put out last week's episode. So it is one of those things where I think a lot of people are deciding what they should and shouldn't do in these circumstances. And to be honest with you, I was in two minds right up until today. I'm literally recording this at 3:45 on Wednesday. So this is fresh off of the recording studio blocks, as it were. But I did want to just address the fact that we have lost our Queen. I am a huge fan of the royal family. In fact, I did history at university. History is a huge passion of mine. And the biggest passion within that is kings and queens. I loved looking at the history of the monarchy. So this is a really big loss for many of us in this country, and especially those who really enjoy the royal family, the monarchy, and looking back at history in that way. So if you have been feeling kind of down, I completely sympathise with you. I think King Charles is doing a great job so far. I am not his biggest fan, I will admit, but he seems to be doing his job with grace and dignity, just like his mother. And I couldn't imagine having to do all of the ceremonial and ritualistic things that he is having to do whilst mourning his mother. So kudos to him. I think he's doing a stellar job, and I just wanted to send my thoughts and prayers to the royal family and to anybody else who is feeling kind of low with it all. It is a tough time to live through, and it just all seems to be hitting us, doesn't it? You know, COVID, recession, the Queen dies. That's our three, guys. So hopefully it'll be all uphill from here on. So today we are going to be addressing the last point in my low season priorities series that I have been doing. I wanted to bring it out because I did promise you guys that I would have the download up by the weekend in last week's episode, and then obviously we had the terrible news, and I really wasn't in a place where I could get that finished for you, but I have done it, and I wanted to get it out to you as soon as possible. And the best way for me to let you know that it's available now is through the podcast. So that is why I've decided to put this episode up today. So our last point on our low season priorities list is networking. So if you have not been a networker, if you don't know what networking is, or if you have preconceived ideas of what networking is, then I am looking to challenge those today. So let's jump in. So one thing that I would like you to look at doing in this next 3 to 4 months. So wherever your low season starts, if you're already kind of hitting that lower season, or if you've got quite a full September and your low season's going to start in October, look at connecting with the people that you have met during this season, this wedding season. It is often the case that we connect with people on wedding days and we introduce ourselves and we kind of work with them during the day or work alongside them during the day, but we don't really get to know each other very well. And part of building your network is to get to know these people. Let's look at what networking is. Networking is basically talking to people and getting to know people and building relationships with people. It is nothing scarier than that. And for the wedding industry, us who are very personable and love and enjoy having conversations with people, this will come easy. So networking doesn't have to be big and scary. You don't have to do it through official means. It just means making connections with people and building relationships. So the first thing I would like you to do is to set aside a time to contact the people that you have worked with this year or worked alongside this year. Hunt down your couple's suppliers. Who was their florist? Who was their videographer? Who was the person who was in charge of their wedding day at the hotel? Who was their transport provider? Who did their dress? Just check in, find out, ask the questions. You know, it is a really good thing to go back to your couples and say, hey, you know, I really enjoyed working your wedding day. You had some great suppliers. Do you have a list of who attended your wedding? Because I'd love to reach out to them and say thank you to your videographer for the help that he gave me when I was trying to position this photograph, you know, whoever it is for whatever reason. If you are a wedding stationer, I understand you don't generally work on the wedding days. You're unlikely to actually see any of the vendors that are taking part in the day. So it is really good to kind of step out your comfort zone, ask the questions, and perhaps reach out to these vendors and say, hi, you know, I was the stationer who worked on so-and-so's wedding. I hear that you did the photographs. I wondered if you had any images of the invitations. Do the same with the videographer. You know, did you get any videos of, you know, the table place settings, things like that. There are ways that you can make genuine connections with people. And then find times to have one-to-ones with these people. So a one-to-one is basically just that. It is you and the other person having a cup of tea and a chat. That is all it is. So you can call it a coffee day, a coffee break, a tea break, you know, whatever. You could do it on Zoom, although it's even better if you can do it in person. And the reason you want to do this is because it strengthens your connections with people in your industry. And the stronger your connections with people in the industry, the better you're going to work alongside each other. So this isn't just about getting more business. It isn't just about being a referral. It is about building those connections so the next time you guys are working on a wedding day, you know each other, you can connect, you've got that instant connection because you know each other already, and you're just going to be able to work a wedding day better. You know, a well-oiled team works a lot better than a bunch of strangers thrown in a room who haven't got a clue who each other is. So it will just make it a more seamless working experience for you at the next wedding you're both at. And then on top of that, you also have the option of becoming referrals for each other, of growing a friendship that leads to the fact that when one or other of you come to talk to a couple and they're looking for a vendor in the other area, that you can recommend each other. It is about growing that base and really sort of finding a group of people that you really get on with. It is also about support in your business, being able to turn to another vendor who is in the industry and understands where you're coming from on certain things and can give you advice, give you help, give you guidance, and you can do the same for them. So that is the first thing that I want you to look at doing in this low season. The next is to head to networking events. especially ones you haven't tried before. So networking events may sound scary. I understand that, but it's not as scary as it sounds. Networking events can be a really good fun. I actually ended up going to one that I've never laughed so much in a networking event. It was absolutely comical. The thing that they did as their kind of training element for the meeting. So it doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be dull. You can often attend as a guest if you've not been to that networking meeting before. So definitely look at getting invited to networking meetings. Ask your friends, colleagues, people you know in business what networking events they go to, if you would be allowed to come along as a guest. Networking can be expensive. Most networking companies have a meeting fee and an annual membership fee. They have pretty strict rules around attending every single meeting or sending someone in your place. They also have professional lockouts. So if there is somebody else doing what you do, you might not be able to be part of that network. So there is a lot in there that you have to consider. But if you can go as a guest, the idea being that you would then connect with every person at that event afterwards, and that will start to build your network. So you don't have to become a member to take advantage of the people who are there. You can start to build genuine relationships with them outside of the networking meeting by reaching out to them and booking one-to-ones. And I have to say that for the majority of it, you will have to do that work. It is very rare that people at a networking meeting, unless they see some instant synergy with you and want to question you on something or find out more about what you do, that they will reach out to you. And it shouldn't be that way. I feel like it's actually a lot more welcoming when people actually reach out to you and say, let's get together. But in my experience, which isn't extensive, but in my limited experience, I have found that a majority of people haven't reached out to me afterwards. I've had a couple, maybe 3 or 4 over the last 2 years who have reached out to me and booked in a one-to-one with me following me being a guest at their meeting. But on the whole, they haven't. And if I wanted to connect with them, I would have had to have reached out. Now, I say reach out to everybody at that meeting. Reach out to everybody and ask them for a one-to-one, because the big point of networking is that it's not about what you can do for each other. It's about who you both know that could help each other. So if you are, for instance, a florist, and I have not yet been to one networking event where there's been a florist. So there is a huge gap in the market to be a florist at networking events because I don't see them. And guess what? Everybody at a networking event has family members that could do with a bunch of flowers for Mother's Day, for birthdays, for the holiday season and things like that. So definitely a huge network of people that you could connect with. Say you're a florist and they are an estate agent and you're just like, well, I'm not in the market for buying a house, and they think I'm not in the market for buying flowers, and you don't connect. Well, how about actually, wouldn't it be lovely if when people buy a new house, they get a bunch of flowers as a welcome from their estate agent? So there is a connection there that you could forge. And also, like I said, they may know somebody who's getting married. They may, their sister's cousin on their mother's side might be getting married, and they might be looking for a florist. You have no idea who people know and what businesses those people need to connect with. So book a one-to-one with every single person at every networking meet that you guest with, especially during this low season, because you've got a little bit more time to play with. So you can do this, and it only has to be half an hour. If you say, like, it doesn't have to be a full 60 minutes. Often they say a one-to-one needs to be 60 minutes, but I think that you can get a good feel for somebody if you give each other 15 minutes to kind of tell each other a little bit about yourselves, like a bit like speed dating for networking. And then you can always book in more time if you really connect and you can see that it's a relationship that you would like to pursue, because it's about building genuine relationships. It's about connecting with people to the point where you're thinking about them when you're not networking and you're like, oh, I wonder how so-and-so is getting on, or you see an advert on social and you're like, it sparks a memory of them and you're thinking about them. So that is what you're going to be trying to do with these networking events. So try and get guest invites to networking events so that you can access the network, follow up with everybody who is there, and start building your own network, especially of people who are not in the industry, because people who aren't in the industry, they're the people who actually might need your service. People in the industry you're talking to for the hopes of getting recommended, but people outside of the industry might actually know people who want your services. So just to say that not all networking is made equal. So I actually am a leader for a business network called Business Women Unlimited. We meet on the third Thursday of the month online. There are some in-person meetings that take place for the group. Most of them are based in Hertfordshire, and there is one in Whitstable and there is one opening up in Northampton. There are a few in-person ones that you could go to, but I run the online one and I absolutely love having new people come along. The great thing about Business Women Unlimited is that there is no membership fee and no professional lockout. So you haven't got a big outlay to become a member, and you don't have to worry about whether we've already got somebody who does what you do. And because of my particular meeting being online, it means that we could have florists based down in Brighton and florists based in Edinburgh. We could have a photographer from Hemel Hempstead and we could have a photographer from Wales. So, we are widely spread. It actually lets you connect with people who aren't in your area. Now, you may think that that's a negative. However, I know plenty of people that don't live in their area who may well need your services. For instance, I had a friend of mine in Wales recommend me to somebody who lives in Scotland. I had no idea she had friends in Scotland, but she recommended me and now her friend has come to me and we're connected. So it doesn't need to be that the people at the meeting are based where you're based for you to be able to get something out of it. And of course, the other thing is that we have trainings as well that can help you with your business processes and things like that. So you can attend regularly and catch up with so many people all at once. And it is a really lovely group of women. We are predominantly women. There are a few guys within the network, but it is predominantly women. But if your business is aimed at females, then you are more than welcome to come along. We do not stop men from attending our meetings. It is just predominantly women because we are Business Women Unlimited. So I will leave the link below for our next meeting, which I believe is October 20th off the top of my head. It would be great to have you come along to that. My meetings are £10 plus VAT, so it's not expensive. The membership fee, like I said, there is no membership fee and there is no professional lockout, so you can just sign up and come along. Get an experience. If you're nervous about networking and what it might entail, then I highly recommend you come along to my meeting. I will make you feel more than welcome and we will have a great time. So, why network outside the industry? Like I say, I have seen plenty of photographers at networking meetings. Most of the networking meetings I've been to, there's been at least one photographer. However, I have seen very, very few of the other wedding trades. So it is an untapped network. It really is. And like I said, if you build genuine relationships with people, you have people recommending you left, right, and centre. So definitely think about heading to networking events that aren't wedding industry based networking events, because there are plenty more people out there who could benefit from your services either on a day-to-day basis. If you're a florist and you have a shop that is open to the public for regular orders, then there is definitely an opportunity there. If you are a hairdresser, a bridal stylist who does proms and things like that, a lot of people that are networking have children, know people who have children that may be going to prom. So there is a lot of opportunity there for you to build your network, to make more connections and increase your business. So I just wanted to give you some of the pros of each of the online and in-person networking. Online, you could have people coming from anywhere unless they are area specific and they will not let people join from other areas. You have the opportunity to connect with people, like I said, from lots of different areas from around the country, maybe further on. And you may think, why do I need to connect with somebody who's not even in this country? They can't help me. However, oftentimes it is people that used to live here and have family and friends here. So never say never. You never know who somebody else might know who might be a good fit for you. You'll save on travel time if you're networking online because you just switch on your computer and carry on, and it is less disruptive to your workflow. So you can just stop what you're doing, open Zoom, get on Zoom, come off Zoom, go straight back to what you were doing, rather than that whole, got to make sure that I've got my keys, my purse, my phone, a notebook, a pen, I've got to leave the house, oh gosh, the cat's got out, all of that jazz. And then coming back and doing the reverse of, okay, I'm home, I put the keys down, and so get a cup of tea, get back to work. You don't have that when you are online. And I feel also you're more likely to see new faces at online networking because people feel a little bit braver because there's distance between you. I know for me, I get very nervous about walking into a room of people that I do not know. It is terrifying to me. But turning on my Zoom camera, not an issue. I'm in the safety of my house, and if I don't want to be there, I can just disconnect and I'm gone, and I can just say that it was my internet failing and I don't have to worry about it. But if I am in a room with people, there is nowhere for me to go, and if I walk straight out because I'm uncomfortable, that's going to look really obvious, and I'm just not going to do that. So you do have that advantage when you are on Zoom. Now, the advantages to Zoom are also the disadvantages to in-person, and the advantages in person are the disadvantages to Zoom. So we've got to do both sides. So in person, you get that physical connection. So you can shake somebody's hand when you know them really well and you've been going to the meeting for a while. You might hug people. There is that. It's almost like a deeper connection. And I don't want to say that it's like it is a better connection, because I have a friend of mine who lives in South Africa and I call her a friend. She is my friend. And I have never met her in real life. We connected in March 2020 through a group. We were paired as accountability partners. We started to talk once a week. We were meant to do that for 1 month, and then if we wanted to continue, we could, which we did. And 2 years later, we still speak once a week, and I absolutely adore the woman, and I consider her a very close friend. She knows more about me than some of the people who live 5 minutes from me, So I don't want to say that you can't create that deep connection with somebody online like you can in person, but I think it comes quicker if you can be in person with somebody. So you get more opportunities at networking events to have that banter before or after the event. So with online networking, it's usually you come in, you may be talking as a group, but then the host will take over the meeting and start running the meeting. And then when the meeting's finished, everybody disappears. Whereas at a in-person event, you will have people that will hang around and have a chat. Somebody might grab you at the end of a meeting and say, oh, can I have 5 minutes? Or maybe you've arranged to have a one-to-one with somebody straight after the meeting. So you might go off to a local cafe or something and have a one-to-one. You might have time at the beginning as people are filtering in, you're having that chit chat, and you kind of do lose that in an online setting. There is also the local network potential for being more useful for business for you. So although I said, it doesn't matter where people are, it is more likely that people who live in your locale are going to be able to recommend you to people or recommend people to come to you for your business services because they are in the same location as you. So it is more likely to have an effect there. So networking is also there for support though, and that is what I really want you to sort of focus on when we're looking at online networking especially, but networking in general. It's not just about getting bookings out of it. It is not just about getting business. that is absolutely part of it. And you don't want to, especially if you're paying a membership fee and a monthly meeting fee, you do not want to be wasting that money and not getting any business out of it. And a lot of networking companies actually have like referral targets, like that each member has to refer a certain number of people, or you get bigger points, bigger brownie points if you recommend more people. But a lot of it is about business support, people in business supporting people in business. So that's what I really like about the online meetings, because I think you can connect with people, and because it is a case of you're not sitting there sort of arranging times when you both got time to sort of get in the car and go somewhere. You can book one-to-ones with people on Zoom, and you can build those relationships quite quickly because you can speak more often or have better conversations because you've got the time to dedicate to it because it's online rather than you having to leave the house. So you can get that from people at networking meetings. You can get the support, you can get the accountability, you can get the friendship, which is what we all need in business. We all need to have friends who understand the situation we're in. If you run your own business, you will find that a lot of people look at you like you got two heads when you say that you work for yourself. They don't understand it. And it's a little bit like, I think less so now, but if you look at like if people turn around and tell you that they're a YouTuber, it's that kind of, you're what now? You make your money how exactly? And I think a lot of people who are not entrepreneurial in mind have that same kind of feeling over people who run their own businesses. Like, how do you make money at that? Like, are you sure? When are you going to get a proper job? So, you kind of get that from friends and family, whether it's, done purposely or not. A lot of the times they can't understand where you're coming from. But if you can build a group of friends within a business context, then you have people who really understand what it's like to be, trying to get to grips with doing stuff on your website because you can't get a web designer to do it for you because you haven't got the budget yet, and you're absolutely screaming at your screen at midnight because you can't figure out how to move one block from one side of your website to the other. Not that has ever been me. So, it is good to have these people, and you can reach out. You can say to somebody, I would really like, your vibe. I need an accountability partner. I wondered if you'd be interested in keeping each other accountable on certain things. And it might just be like, for me and my accountability partner, it was just for that month on goals that we had for that month. But then we just started doing it weekly. Like, what do you want to get done this week? And checking in with each other. It might be a project. You might have a project that you've got a deadline for, and just having somebody keeping you accountable to it will just help push you that little bit further. Because I don't know about you, but procrastination will win every time if I let it. And having somebody that will keep me accountable and say, hey, how did you do? Will just push me that little bit further. Knowing that somebody else is expecting me to finish will just push me that little bit harder to get it done. So it's great to have outside industry eyes on things, because they view things a little bit differently than we do, and it's good to have insight from inside the industry, people who understand how it works. But it's also good to have ideas from outside the industry, because just because it's always been done one way doesn't mean it can't be done another way. And that's where you get those ideas from people that are outside the industry, because they do things differently. So just because you're in London and somebody else is based in Nottingham, it doesn't mean that they can't be a source of business. It doesn't mean that they can't support you. So definitely look at online networking as an option. Come along to Business Women Unlimited and try it out so that you can see what kind of thing you're looking at and how it could help you. It would be really, really great for you to sort of step up your networking during this off season and really sort of check in with who are you connected to, Who have you been connected to? Like, don't forget your current network. I'm talking here about growing your network, connecting with people that you've worked with this year, and to step out of your comfort zone, go to external networking events outside the industry and get to know people. But who are the people that you are currently connected to? Do those relationships need attention? You know, when was the last time you spoke to your 3 best friends in the industry? Because I get that this summer has been busy for you guys. So you may not have even had a chance to have a cuppa with some of your best friends in the industry. So definitely nurture those relationships as well. So take advantage of the time to build the relationships you already have, start new ones, and spread those networking wings. Business Women Unlimited is open to all. Like I said, we're predominantly female, but if you serve women in your business, then it's completely appropriate for you to attend. The next meeting is the 20th of October. I will put a link in the show notes for you so you can head straight there. You can also look at the in-person events if you are in the Hemel area or if you are based in Whitstable. I want to thank you for listening. I hope this series has given you a good foundation to enter the low season. Like I said, I have got that download for you. So head over to the show notes and download the low season priority workbook, or you can head to bit.ly/WPC UK LSP. So that's bit.ly/WPC UK L for Lima, S for Sierra, and P for Papa, low season priorities. And you will be able to download the workbook and use that when you come to your planning season, when you start your planning, which I said you should look at doing towards the end of this month, no later than the beginning of October. Really get your head wrapped around what it is that you want out of 2023, and then what has happened this year, what you're going to take forward, what you need to change, and what you're going to plan to do for the last 90 days of the year, because it's these 90 days at the end of 2022 that is going to set you up for success in 2023. I hope your high season has been very high indeed, and that you being back doing what you love has filled your joy tank to overflowing. And I want to just take this opportunity again to send my sincere condolences to the King and the extended royal family at this time. Queen Elizabeth II will never be forgotten and will be remembered as an amazing example of grace, dignity, and selfless service. I hope you'll join me next week when we'll be talking about protecting your business through all of this change. Until then, do share this episode with somebody who you think might find it useful, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Don't forget to hit those stars and leave a review of the podcast where you listen if you found value in what you heard today. It's a free way you can help the podcast reach more people just like you.